Hi, I'm Andrew Wasson. Thanks for tuning in to my weekly guitar blog. It's April 21st, 2013, and this week we're going to discuss displacing chords in harmonies. And this question was sent in from Carmine. He's out in Oakland, California, and he wrote in with this email to me. I cannot understand how come chord harmonies seem to be so different in some songs that I learn. When I compare them to how the theory textbooks will teach harmony, some songs are way off. Can you please make a video that runs through how songs will go and switch around chords from the keys harmony? I'd just really like to know how things can be messed with in terms of harmony. Thanks from Carmine in Oakland, California, USA. Well, hey, thanks for writing in, Carmine. You know, in getting started with this topic, I think it's important to state right up front that there are so many ways that a composer can displace chords throughout various harmonies and songs that, well, it could get really overwhelming trying to explain all the possible variations of how chords can appear in progressions. So for this video, I wanted to demonstrate, number one, that this is perfectly legitimate. It truly does happen quite often. In fact, more often than one might actually think. And number two, I wanted to show a small collection of examples of how we might perhaps see a few common situations of this concept of displacing chords in harmonies and how it can occur in some run-of-the-mill sounding chord changes. So let's get things started with a quick music theory review of the major and minor harmonies.
Well, I thought it would be a pretty good idea just before we head over to the guitar itself to do a bunch of examples with this whole topic. I wanted to do a review of harmonic analysis through a key and cover both the major key and the minor. We're going to start with major here. This is a C major scale harmonized across as triads. Up on the top of the scale itself, we have our harmonic analysis, and I'm using that classical style analysis with lowercase Roman numerals. That little zero or O looking symbol right there is identifying diminished. You'll see it both on the analysis of the harmony with Roman numerals as well as on the B diminished chord in this particular case, because we are doing a C major harmony. But what's important to understand is the harmony itself will remain identical for whatever scale or key signature you happen to be working within. So overall, the main thing to memorize is that as you move across the steps of the scale and you think about harmony, the movement will coincide as follows: major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished. And in this particular key, of course, we have the tones moving in front of us as we see them here with C major, D minor, E minor, F major, G major, A minor, and B diminished chords. But of course, just keep in mind that the harmony itself is the main idea that you want to have down and memorized, because that's the crucial element of how you're going to be looking at your different progressions and doing your analysis and understanding what you're of course looking at. So now that we've completed the major tonality, let's move next to minor tonality. So now we've moved over into the world of C minor, and we have a minor harmony in front of us. And just like we were discussing when we had taken a look at the major harmony, it's very important to memorize those stepwise chord qualities and how they occur. So first things first, let's go through that. We start off in your typical natural minor harmonization in triads, going minor. Then we go to diminished, then we head to major, and then we have minor, minor, major, and major. So keep in mind, that's how we're moving: minor, diminished, major, minor, minor, major, major. That's your harmony and your qualities. Of course, off of the root of C, we have these particular chords. You already know and understand enough about the harmonic analysis of the uppercase and lowercase Roman numerals and how that functions. We talked about that little degree symbol, which is identifying diminished, and I think that pretty much covers our quick review of basic chord harmonies for both the major tonality and the natural minor tonality. One other thing I should quickly mention, of course, is the importance of the third degree, because that is our relative major. Now, it's very important that you understand what we just looked at, which is two parallel running keys, as well as what happens when we get into the world of relative keys. So if you're not familiar with that stuff, I'll provide some links in the description of this video to other video lessons that I've done, which completely cover those topics because it's very important. Essentially, you want to take note here of what's happening with the key signature, because 3 flats are identifying not just the key of C minor, but also of the relative E flat major. So that's the whole concept of this relative major and minor in a nutshell. But like I said, I have other videos that get into very good detail on how that all operates. So now that we've done this quick review of chord harmonies for both major and minor, let's move to the guitar next and check out some examples of this information put into action.
In my first example, I have a very typical set of chord changes from the key of C major. Now, the harmonic movement of these chords is 1 to 5, so that's a C major to a G, and then we're going to move up to an A minor, that's the 6th chord, and then we're going to have a faster change in the last measure from F to G. So this is an example of a progression that's in key, and basically it's a very common sound. I'm sure you've heard it before. So I'm going to start with this and play through it for you, just give you an idea of what it exactly sounds like with a little bit of a rhythm added. Here we go. Now for the next progression, I've taken that simple set of typical changes from example number 1, and I'm going to be changing the harmony over to minor. Now this can be done with any set of chord changes, and it's as easy as reducing an existing progression into its harmonic numeric sequence, like we were talking about with the harmonic analysis, and then flipping the degrees into their minor harmony equivalents, which then produces a mirror image of the chords in their parallel minor. It's sort of a pitch axis meets modulation technique. Well, here's how it sounds. And keep in mind that this is the progression from example number 1, just with its harmony flipped over to minor. Now in comparison to example number 1, our C major has flipped to C minor. The second measure, G major, from example 1 is now a G minor. In measure 3, the old A minor chord that we had is an A flat major chord. It's down a half step, and the quality has changed from minor to major. And those F and G chords that we had at the end, they've just flipped into a pair of minors as well. Now also keep in mind that the entire progression doesn't have to flip. You can really just go and flip individual chords over as well. We're going to take a look at that with our final progression. But before we go there, I wanted to stay in the minor tonality in example number 3 and introduce chords from another form of minor. Now the progression itself is going to be centered in key center of C minor. However, the second and fourth measures, at those points I'm going to be borrowing a major 5 chord from another form of minor called harmonic minor. So the standard minor or natural minor sounds like this. It has a flat 7 degree. There's a whole step behind the root of the scale. But in harmonic minor, we have a half step. So it has a little bit different color. Now, speaking of different colors, there's an extra color that I'm going to be adding into this progression, and that's going to be that of a major 4 chord. Normally in a minor key, the 4th chord would be minor. But in this case, I'm going to have that 4th chord being major. Now, where that comes from is the harmony of the Dorian mode. And we happen to be off of the root of C here. So our Dorian mode is going to be giving us a major 4 chord, and that's where that F is coming from. The ideas within this chord progression really, they demonstrate how varied we can get when we begin displacing chords from one scale harmony over to another. We're starting on a C major chord, then we're heading into a G major, which is from harmonic minor. Then we're moving up to A flat major, which is from our typical C minor harmony. And then we're heading to that F major chord, which is borrowed from the Dorian modes harmony, and back to a G major once again, which is from the C harmonic minor scale. So let me play this progression down for you and just give you a really good idea of how it all comes together. A very interesting sound. Now in my final example progression, I flip back to the world of major tonality once again, except this time I wanted to show how cool it can sound to displace a chord from the parallel running harmony a half step away from an existing chord. Now this sound is very cool and will also very likely sound quite familiar to you. The theoretical name for this process is quite commonly called modal interchange. And in this C major progression, I'm staying within the key center of C major for the first three measures, playing the chords of C major in measure 1, then the 5th chord in the key, the G major in measure 2, and then heading to the 6th chord in this key, the A minor in measure 3. But in that final measure where we have this unique modal interchange situation happen, I'm going to be dropping down by way of a half step and flipping the quality to major. So let's jam this out for you and give you an idea of how all this will sound when it comes together. Well, when it comes to scales, they're chord harmonies, and the key that a chord progression is in, there really is no such rule as we must always have this or that occur, or we can never do such and such chord from here to there. You know, those lines of thought just simply do not exist when it comes to the use and application of chords in songs. By learning how to reharmonize a chord progression, and also by constantly transcribing songs, we not only grow as musicians, but we become more and more exposed to several variations that commonly occur to chord harmonies in all kinds of different music from all over the globe. So my advice to you is to continue onward from here in a twofold process. First, study music theory that relates specifically to harmony. And second, spend time transcribing and composing chord changes for different song sections, such as a verse or a chorus, a bridge section, solos, tags, and so forth. Take some of what we've discussed here and apply it to your own music as well. You know, I like this saying, education combined with experimentation will produce fantastic musical results. Anyway, that's about all the time I have for today. As always, thanks for watching. Have yourself a great week, and I'll catch up with you next time. Bye for now.